Hey guys, what's going on? Today I'm going to cover a couple things that I've been thinking about and talk about some new powers and new team abilities and just kind of counter this enhancement Hydra stuff. Now this is all hypothetical because of my Chase Thanos team and some other teams I've been playing. I've been trying to think of some cool things for close combat figures because we already have enhancement and Hydra that's really been played out lately, and I was thinking, well, what could they make that would be beneficial for close combat figures? Now we have enhancement, which friendly adjacent characters making a ranged attack get +1 to their damage. Rule of 3, but that's great. You can get that. Hydra, adjacent friendly characters making a ranged attack. If the Hydra characters can see the target that the character's shooting, they get -1. So most likely it's going to be 1, 1, -2. Figures like Baron Strucker, where you can see through figures, you get 3. You can line them up. So this is things I've been thinking about. I'm like, wow, wouldn't it be nice if Wizkids, Heroclix, decided to make close combat powers to counter or have alternates to enhancement and Hydra? Because as it is right now, I don't believe there is anything. Yes, there is more close combat powers than range powers, but range is already powerful enough because of just things about the game that you can do that make range just so much better. Just a random range figure can be way better than a random close combat figure. So what I'm going to do right now is just cover some of the things I've been thinking about and give you a little background of why I think what I'm thinking. So we have Hydra Enhancement. I'm going to cover some of the figures for support that these are really good. We have Aim Agent, Aim Renegade, Major Glenn, and Cosmo. Now, the Aim Agent's 38 points. It is Perplexer, not Enhancement, but it's still, you kind of get the idea. Renegade is Enhancement and Barrier for 34 points. Cosmo is PD, but 52 points. Starts off with Enhancement, but then gets good and does other things later. But so that's a good combination. Major Glenn is Shield, but also starts with Enhancement for 33 points. Then we have Hydra team abilities. Now some of these I said, like the Renegade and Agent, have Hydra. But then we have Hydra Agent, 25 points. Really good Hydra figure. Then we have Hardball, more Force Blast and Energy Shield Deflection, but the Hydra, 34 points, that's good, you can use it. Bob, 33 points, Hydra Officer, 30 points, Hand Ninja, 38 points, Stealthy, so you could do something there, and then the ultra cheap Hydra Soldier for 15 points. Now these are all good Hydra and enhancement figures here that you're seeing a lot of people use because they are very good, and I think it would be really cool if we had an alternative for close combat figures. But some other figures here that get the benefit. Red Skull, now there's 2 versions of him. The 85 points is a ranged character, so he would get the benefit of Hydra and enhancement. MODOK is a great candidate for both of these. He has base damage of 4, so you can get him up to 7 damage and 2 Hydras. Boom, you got -2 on your defense there. That's disgusting. Baron Strucker starts off with 3 damage Psychic Blast. MODOK is Psychic Blast with 4 damage. But anyways, Baron Strucker, you can put him on your team and you can have 3 Hydra agents or Hydra anything and he can see through them. That is disgusting. Other figures that do really good that also have a deadly combination of Run and Shot and Psychic Blast. Nebula, Adam Warlock, MODOK, like I said, Archangel, Victor Manchia, Moonstone, Skullbuster, and Eradicator. These are all relatively cheap figures that have Run and Shot, Psychic Blast. Nebula starts off with 2 damage and MODOK is 4, but the rest are 3 damage. So with enhancement and the Hydra, you have a deadly cannon. You add in Outwit, you have Howard Stark, very cheap figure. And guess what? Now you can get through damage reducers with Psychic Blast. If you have super senses or shape change, you can use your Outwit. Now you have a combination that is deadly, dishing out anywhere from 5 to 7 damage. And that's where this game is going. A lot of people like to do that. And it's good, it's effective. And that's what you got to do. I mean, that's kind of what my Chase Thanos team was. I had the Claw for 60 points, doing 6 damage Psychic Blast. He didn't have Running Shot, but for 60 points, and I know you're going to sit right there, it's blasting you. I mean, this, you have to think about this. So to counter this, we have close combat figures that can, you know, do their thing from close combat, but we do not have the Hydra or Enhancement alternative to close combat. So what I would suggest would have a close combat power, just like Enhancement, but I would call it Battle Cry or Enrage. Now it would be basically like a Jason friendly character making a close combat attack is +1 to their damage. Now you could also have a TA, I do not have a name for that, but whatever. It's going to be -1 defense for close combat attacks if you're adjacent. Just kind of like Hydra. The wording's a little off, but anyways, like -1 if you're next to a character that's making a close combat attack. Just like Hydra, whatever, you get it. But anyway, so that would be something awesome to counter those things, because range is already leaps and bounds ahead, because just on a basic team, you can base somebody with a cheap figure, and a 15-point figure, and then have your ranged character blast them. There's really nothing you can do for close combat like that. Now there are characters that are close combat figures that are just disgusting at close combat, and that ranged figures just can't deal with. But a lot of the times, the ranged characters or teams are going to at least have a shot at taking you out, or at least taking some damage on you when you get to them. So that's just that's why there's playing a lot of phasers carrying other figures so that they can get them into the game, or TK. TK is huge with chargers because you get them out there before you can attack them. TK them as far as you can, they have charge, get them in there. That's, you know, good. But TK can be used for multiple purposes for close combat and range. So, you know, it's not necessarily a given. Some figures that right now that would benefit from this. Now, I really want to play a scroll team, but there's not a lot of damage with those figures. Now, there's super scrolls and stuff like that, but other than that, there's not a lot of figures for scrolls that do any damage. There's a new figure, the Commando, that has Exploit Weakness, but he only has a 9 attack. If you pair him up with these new powers and team abilities, maybe your opponent can have -2 on their defense, or get plus up to whatever, +3 to your damage for 5 damage with Exploit Weakness. So that's something interesting there. Also, SWAT figures. SWAT characters, police team, you know, maybe a couple of those could have this power that get, you know, enrages or gives them a battle cry to get their plus on their damage. I would say it's enhancement, but we already have the power enhancement, and it would be confusing to have 2 powers called enhancement, but like A and B. That's silly. We don't need that. There's other things that you can call it. Now, color-wise, I don't really know. Maybe brown. I don't think there's a brown. We don't want pink, especially for close combat. We need some strong powers. And I don't know of a color that they could use, but that's just something. And back to the figures that would do really good. We had the 90-point Captain America from the Avengers set. It only does 2 damage the rest of his dial. If he has these powers, he's actually very competitive now, because he's really good at close combat and range because of his power system, but he only does 2 damage, so he's not going to be able to get through damage reducers. He's 90 points. He should be able to at least have 1 click of being able to do some damage reducing. Laser Fist, also 80 points, does 2 damage. So yeah, these are things that I'm thinking that could benefit here. Now, a way that you could get -3 on your opponent from this close combat powers is if you have a giant, you put 3 figures there. If they're adjacent to the giant can make a close combat attack from 2 squares away. So that's interesting, but that's very situational as well. But Red King comes to mind that you could do that. Just fun, you know. I don't think it's breaking the game. I think it's adding something, making, you know, giving new life to the game, giving new life to close combat figures. There's a lot of figures out there that don't do enough damage. What if you're at the, at the point where if you can't do enough damage to your opponent, you have to give up, or unless you have to try to roll crit hits. I don't really like that, I think range is is really good. Now, I like to play range. I like to play close combat figures as well, but a lot of times you opt for the range because you know the close combat figures are going to have a hard time unless you can get them into the fight quickly, and then it's a fight. It's a battle. I'm going to go over some powers here, range and close combat. We can talk about it. Flurry, Charge, Blades, Quake, Poison, Steal Energy, Combat Reflexes, Exploit Weakness, Close Combat Expert. Now these are all close combat powers. Plasticity, Force Blast, Super Strength, Leadership. Now these are all semi-close combat. Leadership, you need to be next to someone to do, get the leadership roll to take a token off, but you can do it anywhere on the map. You don't have to take a token off, but you can get the more actions. Super Strength, you can use that to throw stuff too, so that's kind of range, but mainly close combat. Force Blast, a lot of close combat figures don't want to Force Blast you back, they want to attack. So this is kind of useful for ranged characters, but it's used at close combat. Plasticity, that's close combat power, but it doesn't necessarily come in to add your damage. Blades could be very powerful. Quake is very similar to Energy Explosion, where it's very situational. You're not necessarily going to do it on a character that can do 4 damage, but if you're surrounded, maybe Quake's a good idea. Poison, Steal Energy, there's nothing for range for that, but there's ways of getting around those, and Steal Energy's a very rare power. Poison, you see it a little bit more. Combat Reflexes, you have Energy Shield Deflection. Exploit Weakness, you have Psychic Blast. Close Combat Expert, you have Ranged Combat Expert. Charge, you have Run and Shot. Now for ranged, we have Enhancement, like I talked about. Ranged Combat Expert, Energy Shield Deflection, Psychic Blast, Pulse Wave. This is the best power in the game, and I'll go a little bit more about that. Energy Explosion and Run and Shot. We have Hypersonic. You can use it at close combat as well, but ranged characters get the benefit a little bit more. It's a little bit better for range. You can go past any of the Energy Shield Deflections or Combat Reflexes if you have range. So it is better at range, but you can also use it with Super Strength for close combat. So it's give and take there, but it's interesting. Then we have Support. Now this is a close combat power that you use, but if you're based with your opponent, you can't use it. So you need range from your opponent. They need to be away from you for you to be able to pull off your support. Now back to Pulse Wave. The reason why I think there's a leap from range and close combat is Pulse Wave. Pulse Wave used to be only a ranged combat attack, and then you could use it if you had Sharpshooter, but now you can use it at close combat. You used to be able to throw up your close combat figures to negate Pulse Wave. Not anymore. So that's why I think Pulse Wave just powerful. Now, I don't know of any other thing that you could do at close combat to make equal power. But it doesn't really matter. A close combat figure can have Pulse Wave as well, but it is disgusting, and I think it's more of a ranged power, and close combat figures used to be able to counter the power, but not anymore. So this is actually my second time filming this. The first time I forgot to record it. So if I missed something, sorry, but definitely leave comments. Tell me what you guys think. Is this something that you think would be a nice addition to the game? Do you think it is silly? We don't need it. Range needs to be better. Close combat is already better if you think that. Tell me what you guys think. Leave comments. Tell me your ideas on this. Is there something that these powers need to be tweaked? Is there any other powers or team abilities that you think that need to be added to the game? I don't know. I mean, I think it would be nice. I think this would give close combat figures a boost. I don't think it would still get them up there because it's still going to be a ranged game, but you can build with this and, you know, potentially it would give them a boost, and I think it would be fun and make some low-pointed figures a little bit more nastier if they had these powers. So that's my thoughts on it all. Tell me what you guys think. Please tell me some feedback. Please subscribe too. Take it easy, guys, and have a good day.